Hey guys, Luna here with a new video, and before we make an intro and introduce the album we're going to talk about today, I would like to say fuck you to all the females on my Instagram feed. Really, they made me hate this fucking album before I even listened 1 minute of the thing. The reason is simple. This album was released on Friday, right? And it's normal. Usually when a big artist releases an album, you hear a lot of people saying that it's a masterpiece as soon as it is released. But with this album, was just fucking crazy. I don't know if it was just me. 20 minutes after it's released, it was, you saw a lot of people saying that this album was just the best thing of this year, the best thing of this decade, the best album that Harry Styles, One Direction, Zayn, Lewis, everyone ever fucking released. And I was just there like, damn, the album was released about 20 minutes ago and the album is 40 plus minutes long. How the fuck are you gonna say that this was the best thing ever? Why are you like this, people? Harry Styles crafted an album that women get wet as soon as it starts. It is incredible. At that point, I couldn't really use the Instagram, so I just left and went to Facebook, and Facebook was just pretty much the same thing. Then I got out of Facebook and I jumped into TikTok, and damn, bro, it was filled with the same shit. So I was like, bro, I understand that you have time, while you're listening to the album to upload, I don't know, a post, a meme. That's pretty much normal. It's still fucked up, but it's normal. But a video, a TikTok video, are you fucking kidding me?
Shut the fuck up, I will fucking laser you.
1 hour after the album was released, there were reviews on YouTube of this album. But it was fucking insane, bro. Kendrick dropped last week after 5 years without releasing an album, and it wasn't as crazy as this. God damn it, Harry, you're killing it right now. Now that I've drained my feelings, I'm sorry that you have to go through that. I was just really annoyed. The whole album was spoiled to me before I heard it, and I already hated it before I even clicked on the fucking album. So yeah, I'm sorry. But now for the actual review. Today we're talking about Harry's House by Harry Styles. This is the third studio album released by Harry. Prior to this album we have Fine Line, which was a great album, one of the best albums of 2019. And before that we have the self-titled album released all the way back in 2017, which is also a great record. So for this album, the hype was really big, not only because Harry has released 2 albums that are just great, but also because the single that was released to promote this album was quite big too. So everyone wanted to know how the album would sound. And honestly, from my point of view, the album didn't disappoint. This is probably Harry's most enjoyable album. I loved every single song on this record. And not only that, but I think that this is the album where Harry sounds more focused and more comfortable with his own sound. I know that Fine Line was a great album and the songwriting on that album is really good, even better than this album. But there's just something about the way that Harry sounds on this album that makes it really obvious that he is at his best moment in terms of creativity. Also, something to note about this album is the production is just wonderful. There's not a single point on this album where I can say that one instrument sounds too high or Harry's voice is too low. Everything sounds perfect. Also, we don't have to thank Harry for that. It's actually the multiple producers this album has that make it happen and make the production so good. But it's still worth noting that it's one of the highlights of this album, definitely. This album is way more funky than the 2 previous releases. The bass lines on this album are just marvelous. The use of horns on this album is great too. It's obvious, that it takes a lot of influence from his own song, Watermelon Sugar, and the success that song had, because there are a lot of horns in this album that are as good as in Watermelon Sugar. I just love how it sounds, and I love how Harry uses that to amplify his own voice. Usually, when the horns kick in, Harry sings louder and louder and louder. It sounds great. It really sounds great. One thing that I noticed is that Harry doesn't really try to sing that loud on this album, which was a bit disappointing. I loved tracks like Kiwi, for example, or Sign of the Times. He goes wild on those songs, and also songs like Adore You from Fine Line, where he also sings really, really loud. In this album, he does have a few high notes, but it's usually in the bridge, by the end of the song, not really in the song itself. So yeah, it was a bit disappointing to not see that louder sound side of Harry. But as I said, the style on this album is way more funky, so maybe if you bring those high notes that he performed in previous albums, it wouldn't sound as good on this one. So yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of confused. I'm kind of troubled. I don't know if I want the high notes or not with this type of music, but I don't. It's just something worth noting. I don't think that Harry put that much effort into the performances of this album. Of course, this doesn't mean that the performance is bad, not at all. This is like saying that, you know, there are no high notes in a Billie Eilish album. This album sounds perfect the way it is. The quiet vocal performance really plays out well to the theme of the songs and, you know, the instrumental itself. Lyrically, this album doesn't really have much to offer. I mean, Harry is a great storyteller, especially on the first album he released. You know, the storytelling on that album was great. You can tell what he's talking about, but the thing is that it's pretty much the same as Taylor Swift, you know. They are great songwriters and they do really know how to tell a story. The problem is that it's a story we have heard in the past multiple times, and you know, after a while it just becomes a big blur and you don't really pay attention to the lyrics. So yeah, if you focus on the storytelling, you can tell that it's interesting. You know, he is telling a story and it's a really detailed story. You know, everything makes sense. He's not just saying nonsense, but you know, it's the same story over and over again with the only tracks like Boyfriends and Matilda change the theme a little bit, which is not really a bad thing. I don't think I can take points away from the album just because the story is the same over and over again. I think that rather than making it bad, it makes you focus on the music, which is actually really good because it's the strong point of the album. You know, it's not like what Coldplay tries to do in hey, listen, disclaimer here. I love Coldplay, okay? I just get mad at them sometimes, but I love them. I love them. You just need to look at my channel to know that I really like them, okay? Another great thing about this album is how similar all the tracks are. You know, the album is really focused and it sticks to one sound, and you know, it capitalizes on that sound. I know that someone who watches my videos may call me out for saying that I'm a bit of a hypocrite for what I just said, but listen, there's a fine line between an album being repetitive and similar. For example, albums like Untitled and Mastered by Kendrick Lamar, most of the songs are similar. Actually, many of the samples are used in multiple songs, but you know, the tracks are different enough to make them a whole new track without being repetitive. As a result, you know, you have an album where every track on its own is enjoyable, and then the whole thing is enjoyable as well. I didn't feel bored, you know, listening to this album. I think that 44 minutes, it's perfect for what the album has to offer. I mean, for me, you know, it was just a great release. The opening track, the horns on that track, you know, the high notes by the end of the track, it's amazing. A great opening track for the album. Then, you know, Late Night Talking, it's catchy as fuck and it's funky too. The bass line on that song is great and the chorus of the song is wonderful. It reminds me a lot of that Dua Lipa song, but it's different. I'm not saying that they're the same, okay? It's different. I know that Dua Lipa faced a lawsuit for that song, but anyway, I'm getting off topic. As it was, beautiful instrumentation, you know, catchy as fuck. And then you have songs like Matilda, which are more personal, and a lot of people are praising that song to be his most personal song. I don't know if I agree. You know, it's debatable. Boyfriends, it's a beautiful track, probably the most beautiful track on the album actually, even though what he's saying, it's fucking stupid, but you know, the whole thing just sounds really good. I don't know, I was just really pleased by this album, really. But the reason why I don't think this album would be as legendary as many people think it is, it's because this album doesn't really offer anything iconic, you know. Here's the thing. The album This Is Happening released by LCD Sound System, from the opening track, from when the synths start playing, you know that you're listening to something like nothing else. In albums, for example, like Swan's To Be Kind, the closure of the album is something ridiculous. It's awesome. In albums, for example, like the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's is the closing track, A Day in the Life, where you know that this is like nothing you've ever heard before. This album doesn't really have anything like that, you know. Yes, all of the songs are enjoyable. Yes, the album is perfectly written, and I believe that what it tries to do, it does really well. but there's not a single track that makes me think, wow, this album is just fucking insane, you know? It's just enjoyable. And I think that was the point. I think that he just wanted to make a good album, and it's crazy to see how far Harry has come from that little boy, you know, who worked in a bakery. I look at that and I say, what the fuck? This was about 10 years ago. When did he change that much? I want a new album soon, so if there's any chance for you to watch this video, man, release another album soon. I want to know what you have up your sleeve. This album was great. In terms of rating, I'm giving this album a 7. That is it for today's video, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any other videos that I upload. It was great to see that this man is still going strong, and you know, I just want another album. Give me another album. What the fuck are you waiting for? I want to know what you think about this album, so please leave a comment down below and I'll make sure to check it out. Did you like the album? Did you not? Go ahead, give it a try. With that being said, I really hope that I can see you guys soon with another video. Bye!